If you're in the market for a nice, strong, thick six-pack like this, welcome. See, you already have it, but the problem is most of us can't see it because of the accumulated belly fat above our muscles. Wow, what a surprise you must be thinking. Now I want to preface this video with asking the question, why do you want to have abs? Is it just to look hotter for those 2 weeks you're at the beach? Because that's not a high enough motivation to sustain all the cardio and exercise and ab-targeted work and nutrition that goes into having abs. See, the core is a very functional, complex group of many muscles, and the six-pack is just one piece of the equation. You want to hit all different parts so you become more functional mover. A better motivation, a better reason to aim at a six-pack is having better health, being more functional when you're older, having better core stability, no low back pain, injury prevention, higher strength, better athletic performance. All of these things can give you motivation to do it. The 22-year-old guy is motivated by getting girls. The 55-year-old man who you see with low back pain wants to have a stronger core so they don't have that low back pain. So you need to find first the reason, the motivation why you want to hit the six-pack, and then think forward. For example, during COVID, I very much struggled to keep a lean six-pack because I was eating a lot, but also I wasn't doing any activity and movement, like even the basic stuff like cycling and walking and movement, which aren't considered exercise in general. Now it's much easier to keep a lean physique because I take care of my diet better and I move a lot more. The core is a large complex of muscles which have multiple functions. Each muscle group is specialized for a specific movement, aiding in stability, initiation, and stopping of movement. It is of great importance to hit all core parts as it adds to our strength, stability, and aesthetics as well. Developing the obliques narrows down your waist, giving you the Greek-god physique look. We have the rectus abdominis muscle, which is the largest front muscle separated into 8 smaller ones. The upper abdominals, which help us flex the trunk, you activate this with crunches mostly. The lower abdominals, which help us initiate core flexion starting from the bottom upwards, as in the reverse crunch. The internal and external obliques, which initiate and stop rotation of the spine, such as in the WoodChopper exercise. And back extensors like the erector spinae and quadratus lumborum, helping us extend and stabilize the spine while keeping an upright posture. You train those by doing a hip extension as in deadlift. This video is more focused on the ab-targeted training, so what exercise you should do to get that nice aesthetic, thick, bulky six-pack. Now in terms of nutrition, diet, and cardio exercise, and all these other things that you can pack to become leaner and more shredded, that's a topic for future videos, so stay tuned for that. At the end of this video, I'll describe the training metrics, so the reps, sets, volume, frequency, intensity, and all those stuff, because we're gonna split today's video into 2 sections and 2 different types of exercises that you could do for the core. The first section includes Isometric Stabilization, and this is mainly made for core functionality, for reducing low back pain and improving muscle endurance in the core and the back muscles, and gonna help you prevent most of this back pain and injuries that occur. It's like a fundamental step to building a good core strength. The first section of isometric exercises are linked one to another, and they are done for time and not for reps. The second section includes concentric exercises for core, and this applies the principle of hypertrophy. So you want to pump the muscle, you want to use external load if necessary, you want to add progressive overload in the equation just so you get that nice, thick, defined, blocky, big, bulky abs. Here we focus on individually pumping and wasting the muscle, and we actually focus on sets, reps, volume, and we have a bit of rest in between so exercises aren't linked. If you have to absolutely pick one over the other, go for the fundamental first, which is isometric training, and then as complementary, as you get more advanced, you can additionally add the hypertrophy-based training. First, we start off with the isometric training, which is important for core stabilization, functionality, and muscle endurance. This is, for example, like the plank, where you're holding a position, your muscles are slightly elongated and tensed at the same time. They're resisting a pull without any movement. You're just staying in that position for longer duration of time. This increases muscle endurance and core stabilization, which is very important in preventing low back pain, injuries, etc., etc. The first exercise is the plank, which is, in my opinion, one of the best all-arounder exercises for core. It works the rectus abdominis, the obliques, the back extensor, even the deeper abdominal muscles, which aids into your core functionality. It's basically when you hold a plank for a certain duration of time that these muscles need to work to resist the pull from gravity down. This increases muscular endurance, helping with low back pain and potential injuries. The elbow plank is the basic variation. You want to tuck your pelvis in, squeeze in your abdominals, and to further increase activation, pull with your elbows back. Abs need to work to resist the hips falling down. Progressions of the plank can include positioning the elbows further away or doing a start plank for advanced level, which increases the lever. For additional stability, lifting a limb will give you that extra work. Then we have the dead bug, which is my favorite exercise for beginners. It's not exactly isometric, but it's more like partially isometric, especially if you do not rest in the position where your knees are above your hips. So if your heads are overhead and you continually lowering one leg and getting back, other leg and getting back, some of these muscles are continually tense, so it's in a sense partially isometric exercise. Lying down, extend your arms overhead and start by slowly lowering one leg to the floor. The abdominals have to consistently work to resist the weight of your leg. One progression is to diagonally extend your arm along with your leg. To further increase the lever, maybe add a medicine ball extended overhead. The further back the weight ends, the larger the lever is. The more the abdominals need to work. Then the third one is my absolute least favorite exercise, the V-sit or hollow hold. It's basically when your body has to work very hard to keep you balanced so you don't fall flat on the floor while you're having an increased lever. It activates very large core musculature and it's usually held for 30 to 60 seconds. If you're into Pilates, you know what I'm talking about. The V-sit and the hollow hold both use similar mechanism to target the core. In a seated position, we lift both arms and legs, extend back and hold. The moment our core quits, we fall down. The hollow hold is a progression which adds arm extension overhead, again increasing the lever. Furthermore, you can add some form of weight to stimulate the core even more. The last one is anti-rotation, which is one of the best exercises for stabilizing your core, as your obliques have to work very hard to resist the pull from the elastic band, so they keep your body and your core stabilized and balanced up front. Stand hips width apart, grip an elastic band and step so far that your core needs to tighten up to keep you upright and balanced. The obliques resist the pull from the elastic band, working hard to keep you balanced. If you want a fully detailed guide on how to get six-pack abs, which contains the nutrition and cardio aspect of it, just go down in the comments and comment full abs guide, nutrition and exercise, and I'll see what I can do. Now we're going to go to the concentric part, still comprised of 4 exercises. Now this is your hypertrophy based principle where you want to add progressive overload. You want to really focus on squeezing the muscle and you have a little bit of rest in between so the muscle can replenish and you hit it again. Medicine ball crunches and cable crunches, arguably 2 of the best front abdominal muscle stimulators. The medicine ball crunch is a more functional version of the cable crunch, still targeting that upper part of your frontal abdominal muscles. It mainly targets the upper core by helping and allowing your core to flex. At first, start with no weight, lying on a Pilates ball. Roll yourself up by consciously activating the front abdominals. The ball requires extra stabilization and core activation to keep you in balance. More hypertrophy-focused exercise will be the cable crunch, in which you try to flex your core to pull the weight down. Then we have the WoodChopper, which is one of my favorite exercises for the lateral part of the torso, so the side obliques. This exercise combines both the hypertrophy aspect, especially if you do it in a slow and controlled manner, where you're targeting that muscle squeeze and muscle pump, which can define those oblique muscles. Plus, it adds to the functionality of your frame as it helps you rotate or resist rotation. Standing hips width apart, grip the handle, short inhale, tighten your core to increase intra-abdominal pressure and slowly rotate on the opposite side. Try to move like a robot, literally. Don't use your arms or any momentum. It's just about engaging the obliques to help you rotate. In case you work out at home with no cables, the anti-rotation with an elastic band will do. The difference is that now we're dynamically rotating the cause muscle pump since we're doing a hypertrophy focused exercise and not an isometric one. The last one, reverse crunch. Now this one is scientifically proven to activate a very large portion of the lower abdominal muscles. The thing I was skeptical about with lower abs targeted training is most exercises shorten the hip flexor or iliopsoas muscle. And this one doesn't do that while activating the large portion of the lower abdominal. Compared to the regular crunch, which initiates a top-down movement, this one does exactly the opposite. Starts the movement down and goes up. Lying down on a bench, grip to a stable object and slowly try to lift your legs up towards the ceiling. Stay strong, activate the lower abdominals, and really initiate the movement, pushing from the lower to the higher portion of the movement. Think about squeezing your glutes, posteriorly tilting your pelvis for higher activation. Now you've seen all the exercises, but how can you train like this? What metrics should you respect and when should you place it in your weekly window? So first of all, if there's a dilemma between the isometric and concentric and you want to only do one, the isometric always wins, especially for people with low back pain problem. It adds to your core functionality, stability, etc., etc. The isometric exercises are done on time. The concentric exercises are done on reps. So here, the isometric exercises, you do 30 to 60 seconds and you're linking the first to the second to the third to the fourth exercise without much rest in between. The concentric exercises, you do 8 to 12 reps of each and then you have a minute to minute and a half pause and then you go to the next exercise. For the concentric exercises, which are more hypertrophy based, you're going to want to push a volume of 3 sets per each exercise and have around 8 to 12 reps with a bit of pause, minute and a half in between. The isometric are just repeated, so you have the 4, you do first, second, third, fourth, and then you repeat the cycle for 3 to 4 times. It should last no more than 15 minutes. In terms of positioning this in your weekly schedule, you can do the isometric exercises once a week and then the next week you switch to the concentric part. Or for more advanced lifters, when doing a core targeted training, you can do both 15 minutes of these isometric exercises and 3 to 4 exercises that are more concentric and to stimulate muscle growth. Another important thing is to consider your body fat. So for females, somewhere below 20 to 22% is when you start seeing your abs, and for males, that's somewhere around 14% down. So you're going to want to cut that body fat to actually be able to see your abs and improve the aesthetics overall. But a more important aspect of it is core functionality. That's why we always focus on isometric work first and rotation, core stabilization, and then we go on to aesthetics and getting that defined, big, bulky, thick muscles, etc. If you're interested on the effects calisthenics training has on core strength and muscle stability around the trunk, feel free to check out this article. There's a lot of studies and links in between, helpful resources, different types of exercises that really target those abs. And I guess I'll check you in the next one. Bye.